You've done it thousands of times in your life. You've seen it in movies, in paintings, on the street. You do it without thinking. But stop for a second and ask yourself, why do humans kiss? Who was the first person to ever press their lips against someone else's? Did they know what they were doing, or was it a complete accident? And what about the fact that roughly 10% of the world's population has never kissed at all? Not because they can't, because they simply don't. Today we're going on a journey through time, across continents, and deep into the science of the human brain, all to answer one surprisingly complicated question. What is a kiss, really? Stay with me. This is going to be a strange and wonderful story. Let's start with the big question scientists still argue about. Is kissing natural, like breathing and blinking? Or is it a cultural habit, like shaking hands or bowing? The honest answer is, probably both. Here's what we know for sure. Humans are not the only creatures that do something resembling a kiss. Chimpanzees, our closest relatives, press their lips together after conflicts, as a kind of peace offering. Bonobos, the other branch of our primate family, go even further. They kiss on the mouth, with full contact, to strengthen social bonds. Even snails have been observed doing something that looks suspiciously kiss-like. But here's the catch. Kissing is not universal among humans. There are entire cultures on this planet, thriving, sophisticated cultures, where romantic kissing simply does not exist. No tradition, no practice, no word for it. The people of Papua New Guinea, no kissing. The Tao people of Taiwan, no kissing. Many indigenous communities in South America, no kissing. In fact, when European explorers arrived in Somalia, the locals had never kissed before. They adopted the habit only after contact with Western civilization, along with other things, like coffee and paperwork. So if kissing were purely biological, like an instinct, everyone would do it. But they don't. This tells us something fascinating. Kissing is partly instinct and partly culture. It's a behavior that evolved in some societies and never appeared in others. And then there's the most popular scientific theory about where the whole thing started. It's a theory that's equal parts beautiful and slightly gross. Mothers chewing food for their babies, before spoons, before baby food in jars, for hundreds of thousands of years. Mothers would chew food into a soft paste and transfer it directly from their own mouth into their child's mouth, lip to lip, skin to skin, warm, safe, nourishing. Anthropologists believe that our brains slowly began to associate that contact, lips touching, the warmth, the closeness, with love, safety, and pleasure. And over thousands of years, this evolved into something entirely new. The kiss. If kissing evolved differently in different cultures, then somewhere, at some point, someone was first. And most anthropologists today point to one place. Ancient India. Around 1500 BC, that's 3,500 years ago. Ancient Sanskrit texts began describing something that sounds unmistakably familiar. People pressing lips together, breathing in the breath of the other person, feeling pleasure from contact. The Vedic texts, some of the oldest written records in human history, mention this practice. And then, a few centuries later, came the most famous document in the history of human intimacy, the Kama Sutra. Written by the philosopher Vatsyayana, the Kama Sutra dedicates an entire chapter just to kissing. Different types of kisses, different techniques, different meanings. The bent kiss, the turned kiss, the pressed kiss. It reads like a manual, which, to be fair, is exactly what it is. Now, some scholars believe that before this discovery, early Indians were actually doing something simpler. They were sniffing each other. Specifically, they would drag their noses along each other's cheeks, just below the eyes where the scent glands are located. While doing this, sometimes their noses would miss, and their lips would meet instead, and apparently that felt significantly better than sniffing. So the romantic kiss might literally have been a happy accident, a nose that missed its target and discovered something better. Now here's where history gets interesting. Before Alexander the Great invaded India in 326 BCE, the ancient Greeks, for all their philosophy, art, and civilization, apparently did not kiss on the lips. The earliest kiss mentioned in Greek literature is in Homer's Iliad, written around 800 BCE. In it, King Priam kisses the hand of Achilles, begging him to return his son's body. Not exactly a romantic gesture. But when Alexander's soldiers returned from India, they brought back something more than spices and silk. They brought back the kiss. And from Greece, it began its long, slow march across the Western world. Once kissing entered the ancient world, different civilizations grabbed it and made it their own. Ancient Egypt. The Egyptians loved to kiss. Temple walls are covered in images of people kissing, in moments of affection, passion, reverence. But here's a fascinating detail. Egyptians refused to kiss the Greeks. Why? Because the Greeks ate beef, and cows were sacred in Egypt. To kiss lips that had touched the flesh of a sacred animal was considered an act of defilement. I curse. So the Egyptians, who kissed practically everyone, drew a firm cultural line at Greek lips. Ancient Persia. The Greek historian Herodotus, often called the father of history, recorded a Persian custom that would feel surprisingly familiar in a modern office. In Persia, the kiss was a badge of social rank. If you met someone of equal status, you kissed them on the lips. If they were slightly below you in the hierarchy, you kissed them on the cheek. And if they were significantly beneath your rank, you didn't kiss them at all. Can you imagine the confusion at a Persian dinner party? Wait, do I kiss him on the lips? On the cheek? Should I just bow and back away slowly? Ancient Rome. The Romans took kissing to its logical extreme and invented a whole taxonomy of kisses. They had specific Latin words for each type. Osculum, a respectful kiss, like on the cheek between friends or family. Basium, an affectionate kiss between people who care about each other. Savium, what we would today call a French kiss. The Romans got there first. Kissing in Rome was also deeply political. Citizens would kiss the emperor, but where you were allowed to kiss him depended entirely on your social rank. His feet, his knees, his hands, his cheek. The closer to the face, the higher your status. Kissing was also used to seal legal agreements, literally the equivalent of a signature on a contract. If you shook hands and kissed on it, the deal was done. The Middle Ages. Christianity changes everything. With the spread of Christianity across Europe, kissing took on new spiritual weight. The kiss of peace became part of religious ceremony, a symbol of brotherhood in Christ. Kings and queens were kissed during coronation rituals, symbolizing the transfer of divine authority. But here's the strange twist. After the fall of Rome, the romantic kiss, the kiss between lovers, essentially disappeared from European culture for almost 1,000 years. It wasn't until the late 11th century, with the rise of troubadours, courtly love poetry, and the idea of romantic love itself, that the lover's kiss slowly came back, and it found its greatest symbol in a story written around 1597, Romeo and Juliet. Shakespeare understood that a kiss wasn't just a physical act, it was the moment two worlds became one. Now let's take a trip around the world, because how different cultures experience the kiss is one of the most fascinating stories in all of anthropology. In China, the kiss has ancient roots, but it works differently. A traditional Chinese kiss isn't just lip contact. It involves actively breathing in the partner's breath through both the nose and mouth. The kiss is an inhalation of the other person's spirit. Some Chinese kissers even make a soft smacking sound of appreciation. A kind of "this is wonderful" exhaled in the moment. You've probably heard of the Eskimo kiss, rubbing noses. This is real, but the name is considered offensive today. The proper term is the Inuit. But here's what you might not know. Recent science has confirmed that nose rubbing does not fully replace a lip kiss neurologically. The brain responds differently to each. The Inuit developed their own form of intimacy, but it activates different neural pathways than a kiss does. The Pacific Islands, Tahiti and Bali. On the island of Tahiti, people traditionally greet each other by rubbing noses. On Bali, the preferred greeting is a gentle pressing of faces together, cheek to cheek, sometimes forehead to forehead. No lips involved. Africa, where kissing can be dangerous. In several African cultures, the mouth-to-mouth kiss is not just uncommon. It can be genuinely threatening. In some belief systems, the kiss is understood as a way to steal someone's soul, to suck the life force out of a person through their lips. Anthropologists have documented cases where European visitors who tried to kiss a local person as a friendly greeting were met with genuine fear and hostility. In some extreme cases, a foreigner attempting to kiss someone in these communities has been accused of witchcraft. Brazil and the Amazon. Some indigenous communities in Brazil describe the romantic kiss as physically unpleasant, even disgusting. Their intimacy is expressed through different physical contact, touch, breath, proximity. The idea of pressing wet lips together strikes them as strange. India, the great paradox. Remember, India is where kissing may have been invented. The Kama Sutra is one of the most detailed kissing manuals in history. And yet, in 1933, Indian actress Devika Rani kissed her husband on screen in the film Karma for a full 4 minutes. The Indian public loved it. She was celebrated as a master of the art. Then, in 1954, a group of women wrote a letter to Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru demanding that kissing in films be banned, calling it premature promotion of sexual activity. Kissing in Indian cinema was then restricted for decades. It was only fully allowed again in 2007. And today, Indian cinema now features plenty of kissing on screen. But in real life, public kissing is still considered inappropriate, sometimes even illegal. In India, public displays of affection can lead to arrest under obscenity laws. The country that may have given the world the kiss now arrests people for doing it in public. History is wonderfully ironic. Japan. Japan has a complex relationship with public affection. Kissing in public is considered deeply improper, embarrassing to witness and to do. Yet Japan has produced some of the world's most emotionally expressive intimate storytelling. In literature and art, the feeling exists. The public expression of it does not. Western Europe, the cultural capital of kissing. Today, the Western European tradition dominates globally. In France, greeting someone with cheek kisses, the bisou, is standard, but the number of kisses varies by region. 2 in Paris, 3 in some southern areas, 4 in others. Get the number wrong and it becomes awkward very fast. Now let's talk about what's actually happening inside your body when you kiss someone. Because a kiss is not just romantic, it's a full biological event. Your lips are extraordinary. The American Journal of Medicine has noted that the lips are among the most sensitive parts of the entire human body, compared to the fingertips, which we consider very sensitive. The lips have nerve density hundreds of times higher. When your lips touch something, your brain receives an enormous amount of information instantly. The brain response. The moment a kiss begins, your brain lights up like a city at night. Almost 100 different muscles activate in the face, neck, and body. Your breathing deepens and becomes irregular. Your heart rate increases. Your pupils dilate, which is why we instinctively close our eyes. Simultaneously, your brain releases a cocktail of chemicals. Dopamine, the reward chemical, the same one released by chocolate, music, and certain drugs. It creates a sudden rush of energy and pleasure, and it makes you want more. Oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone or the love hormone. It builds trust. It deepens attachment. It's the same hormone released by a mother holding her newborn child. A single kiss can flood your system with it. Adrenaline, your heart pounds, your palms might sweat slightly. Your body treats a good kiss as a mild emergency. Scientists have actually compared the neurological effect of kissing to the effect of certain controlled substances in terms of the brain chemistry involved. The pathways activated are remarkably similar. During a kiss, you are not just feeling pleasure. Your brain is running a biological analysis of the other person. Through the saliva exchanged, your immune system detects chemical signals about the other person's genetic compatibility. Unconsciously, you are asking, would our children be healthy? Research from University College London found that more than 60% of people say a first kiss is a decisive factor in whether a relationship continues. Not the conversation, not the dinner, the kiss, because your body knows things your conscious mind doesn't yet. Here are a few bonus science facts. Kissing reduces cortisol, the stress hormone. A few minutes of kissing can measurably lower your anxiety levels. Kissing is good for your teeth. The increased saliva production stimulates the mouth's natural defenses against bacteria. Kissing burns calories. Not many, maybe 2 to 3 per minute, but still, technically a workout. And one study suggested that men who kiss their partners goodbye in the morning live, on average, 5 years longer and earn more money. Kissing might literally be good for your career. The dark side, bacteria. In the spirit of full honesty, a single kiss transfers around 80 million bacteria. Your mouth contains over 700 species of bacteria and microorganisms. Kissing can transmit influenza, mononucleosis known as the kissing disease, and other infections. So kissing is simultaneously one of the most intimate and one of the most biologically risky things you can do. Somehow, that makes it more interesting. Let's finish our journey with some of the most remarkable kissing stories in history. The world record kiss. The current world record for the longest continuous kiss belongs to a Thai couple, Akachai and Lexana Tiranarat. They kissed for 58 hours, 35 minutes, and 58 seconds. That is nearly 2.5 days. They were not allowed to sit down, sleep, or separate their lips for any reason. They had to eat and drink through straws, without breaking contact. They actually broke their own previous record of 46 hours to set this one. When asked why they did it, they said it was to prove their love, which is either the most romantic thing ever, or proof that love makes people do completely irrational things, possibly both. On August 14, 1945, a photographer named Alfred Eisenstadt was walking through Times Square in New York City. World War I had just ended. Japan had surrendered. People were flooding the streets in celebration. Eisenstadt raised his camera and captured what became one of the most iconic photographs of the 20th century, a sailor in a white uniform, grabbing a woman in a white dress and kissing her deeply in the middle of the street. The photo was published in Life magazine and became the image of an entire era, the end of war, the return of life, the explosion of relief and joy. There's actually still debate about who the people in the photo are. Multiple people have claimed to be the woman in the white dress. Multiple sailors claim to be the man. Today, a life-size sculpture of the kiss stands in Times Square, in the exact spot where the original photograph was taken. The longest kiss in cinema history. In 1933, Indian actress Devika Rani kissed her co-star and real-life husband on screen in the Bollywood film Karma, for an unbroken 4 minutes. For context, most movie kisses last between 3 and 10 seconds. 4 minutes is an eternity on screen. Indian audiences watched, transfixed. Devika Rani became a legend. The most famous painted kiss. When we think of famous painted kisses, most people think of Gustav Klimt's The Kiss 1907-1908. Two figures wrapped in golden robes, their faces merged in an embrace. It's one of the most reproduced paintings in art history. But the Norwegian painter Edvard Munch approached the same subject very differently in Kiss by the Window 1892. In Munch's version, the two kissing figures dissolve into each other, losing their individual identities completely. For Munch, a kiss wasn't just contact. It was the loss of self in another person. The kiss has traveled further than any army, any religion, any empire. It has been a symbol of love, power, betrayal, peace, greeting, spiritual danger, and scientific data. It is, perhaps, the single gesture that tells us the most about what it means to be human. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.